Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Can we get a thread about kids saying or doing creepy shit? I'll go first. Be about 7. Brother is 4. Brother gets a bad fever for a few days, has weird-ass hallucinations. One night, I hear him coughing hard in his room, so I go in to ask if he is okay. He sits up in bed, stares right at me, and says in a calm, monotone voice, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mom! My parents run in and deal with him. I go back to sleep. Scared the shit out of me, still haunts me to this day. He has no memory of it.
Be 5 and live in an ancient parsonage with my pastor father. Have an imaginary friend who only comes out at night. It's a man who wears a really classy but old black suit, has a cravat, which is the only thing I really remember about him other than he was tall. He tells me that I'm his favorite, be confused but happy. He sits on my bed and we talk through the night. My mom hears me talking, comes into my room. Imaginary friend vanishes. My mom saw it too. Mom tells me that I'm no longer allowed to talk to him, freaking out thinking that it was a ghost. 13 years later, Mom still talks about how much I used to talk about him and how freaked out she was that night. Fuck my life because I still see him at my window sometimes. This has to be the first time I've spoken about this in years, and it's to a bunch of people on the internet. Strange world we live in.
What would you talk about? I'm genuinely curious.
Well, this may sound a bit boring, but I did most of the talking. From what I remember, a lot of it was kid stuff. Like I'd talk about sweets and he told me he was quite fond of chocolates. Or I'd talk about current day stuff, which he asked about a lot. He was really into techno stuff, and he'd be really interested. He'd comfort me too. Like if my older sibling was being a bitch or if I'd been scared, he'd always talk to me and help me relax. One of the biggest things being when this huge storm came through, or the time when I was terrified by the exit song on Sesame Street. That song still scares me. I do remember that he said something about Germany, but that's really vague. All I know is that my mom said I took an almost obsessive interest in Germany from like 5 to 8. Funny thing is, I sometimes dream in German and Latin, and I am in no way trained to speak, read either language. But when I look up the stuff said in my dreams, they're actually real. He said he had a daughter once and that she was blonde like me, but really I don't remember much. It was a long time ago. Sorry I couldn't be more interesting like everyone else.
This is a creepy but sad one. I'm not sure when I met her, middle or high school, but there was a girl in our class, we'll call her Gretchen, her real name was just as old-fashioned and cringy, who was pretty bizarre. She was very quiet, grumpy, and had a tense, uncomfortable posture, like she was always walking in a perpetual chilly downpour. She would yell at other kids for swearing around her. Once, she brought a cat, Plushie, to school and kept squeezing its ear. It played a soundbite that said, "I think you're perfect." On the tag was a note from her mom saying something like, "I love you just the way you are," leading me to think that maybe she had had some kind of fit or outburst involving self-esteem issues. I don't think anything was confirmed, but there were rumors that her dad or her mom's boyfriend or somebody beating her, and her anxious, snippy behavior around other people made that seem likely. I really only have one creepy story involving her, but it always stood out to me. One time I saw a stack of papers on an English teacher's desk, assignments from another period waiting to be graded. The paper on the top was Gretchen's. It was just a poem entitled "Without Jesus," listing all the things she would do without Jesus in her life. I swear I saw the lines, "Without Jesus, I'd have my fill. Without Jesus, I'd kill and kill." To the right of the poem, taking up half the paper, was a childlike drawing of a girl and Jesus riding in a hot air balloon together. This was our senior year of high school. Looking back, the kill and kill line was probably because she needed a rhyming word, but the drawing really made the whole thing seem like some serial killer shit.
Staying at Aunt's house. Sleep on the floor in my cousin's room. We are sleeping in opposite corners of the room. It's very late at night. Cousin is fast asleep. I wake up hearing a growling sound. It's coming from within the room. Get sort of scared. Then I hear quiet scratching. The scratching gets louder, louder. The scratching stops. Growling starts up again. Then I hear someone talking very faintly. I can't understand it at all. Realize that they are not words. Sounds like someone speaking backwards. Sounds like Herdu monolith Zedus ni weldi Merkoa monolith. Realize it's my cousin saying shit. Tell him to cut it out. As soon as I speak, it stops. The scratching intensifies. It's louder now. I freak out. He starts growling like a hellhound. I scream for my aunt. I'm frozen in my bed. Can't move. Aunt comes into the room and says, "What is it?" I tell her what happened. She says, "Anon always speaks that devil talk in his sleep. Has he touched you yet?" Me, "No, why?" Aunt, "He likes to get up and touch you while you are sleeping. He grabs your hair and then mumbles that devil talk stuff." I'm sort of freaked out now. Decide to go sleep in the basement. I wake up in the morning with my cousin sleeping on the floor next to the couch I was sleeping on. I don't sleep at my cousin's place anymore.
Not paranormal in the ghosts and shit way, but beyond normal by my standards. Things seem to happen in the hallways quite a lot. And here's another. This happened to my best friend and his siblings. I've known this family literally my whole life, and I've always been wary of his sister ever since. My best friend and his older brother shared a room with their sister in the adjacent room to their left, and their parents' room on the right. My friend was 8, his bro 11. Middle of the night they awake to hear laughing out in the hall, right outside their door. They go to check it out. Big bro opens the door to see what's up. Sister, 9, standing in the middle of the hallway sleepwalking, laughing at nothing. They sit entertained by this for a moment and begin to laugh at her. She immediately stops laughing and turns to Big Bro, eyes closed, staring straight at him. She says, "What are you laughing at?" with a scowl. My friend closes the door and locks it. Big Bro, now terrified, pounds on the door to be let in. This now wakes their parents, and they try to settle the boys down. They hear a loud thud and clang from the kitchen. Inspect what noise was. Find sister laid out on the kitchen floor asleep, with the butcher's knife in her hand. She, of course, doesn't remember any of it. Let's just say I wasn't too fond of spending the night after that. Also, sleepwalking people, of which I've done once to my knowledge, and how crazy it is that we are completely aware of our surroundings even while asleep.
Most of my childhood friends are dead or in jail. The handful of us that survived with our freedom intact are struggling artist types or depressingly normal, like one friend who is a bus driver who would never be willing to discuss /x/stuff and only enjoys the most mainstream entertainment. The guys I knew who seemed the most dangerous were mostly dangerous because they put themselves in dangerous situations. Like, the 2 who ended up in jail for violent offenses were just picked up for fighting guys in other gangs. Most of these guys were just self-destructive, sometimes in obvious ways like doing drugs.
Xanax, Oxy, Adderall, Coke. There was one friend who would always an hero, but always seemed to survive. I saw him jump out of windows, jump off a scaffold, lie across subway tracks, and ride outside subway doors. Last time I saw him, he ran into traffic. Without thinking, I chased him down, dragged him out of the street, and beat the shit out of him. He talked about his plans to off himself and the day he was going to do it. I wanted to talk him out of it, but I didn't know how, so I just beat the crap out of him. A friend did see him after that date went by, but nobody has seen him since then. It's been 4 years since then. I think about him a lot and wonder what I could have done or if I could have done something. I definitely should have handled it better. I think about it a lot and it haunts me every day. I have a few friends who talk about typical /X/shit, and they all come from backgrounds like mine. I bet this story is probably relatable to a few other anons.
I've got two that link together. I'm eldest of 3 kids. My brother is about 8 years younger than me. One night I woke up and my brother was sitting on the end of my bed. This was when he was around 4 or 5, and he was playing with his Matchbox cars and talking out loud. I'm half asleep, but sit up and ask him what he is doing, and he replies saying, "I'm playing with a little boy." I don't know what time this was, but I estimate early morning. 2. Not more than a week or so after this, I'm sleeping, and my brother comes in and wakes me up by shaking my shoulder, so I sit up and ask him what he is doing. And he says to me, "Come help." And I ask him what's wrong, and he says, "The little boy is crying." I have that moment of dread fall over me, and I ask him, "What little boy?" And he says back to me, "The little with the cowboy hat is in the lounge room and he is crying." I get out of bed and go out to the lounge room, but nothing is there, and brother has gone back to bed, so I go back to bed. I sort of remember other stuff similar happening with this little boy, but not clear enough to tell the story, all early in the morning when I'm half asleep. All us children had weird paranormal stuff happen the night after my Nana died too.
Oh boy, where do I begin? I've known quite a few freak shows. Guess I'll start with the story of a kid named Patch. Beam me in like 6th grade or some shit. There's that one guy that nobody talks to and everyone leaves alone. Blatantly obvious that he has no friends, at least in school. Eventually, shit-tier middle schoolers start spreading rumors about a dude that literally sat alone and didn't bother anyone. Here his name is Patch. People start harassing Patch all year for no reason. Patch has general outbursts in reaction to this harassment. This pattern goes on until 8th grade or so. Due to a change in district boundary lines, a decent number of kids get moved over to a new middle school. Patch is one of them. So am I. Things were looking well for Patch at the new school. Nobody seemed to mess with him. All was good until about midway through the school year. Be in the locker room getting dressed after gym. Patch is also there minding his own business. All of a sudden, this thug dude named Eddie throws a football randomly, and it accidentally nails Patch in the head. Watch as Patch starts freaking out. This pale, 5'6", skinny, poor lad comes scrambling over to Eddie while very frustrated, throws up his hands like some sort of karate movie. Eddie is standing next to his friends. They all laugh at him. Boom. Patch is on the floor. Eddie pops him once and he's out. Few minutes later, Patch comes to. Everyone just staring at him like he's a freak. His face gets really red, and he claws his way out of the locker room. Never saw or heard of him again. He wasn't really a bad kid or whatever. Everyone kinda just fucked with him for no real reason. Besides, he was different. Should go without saying I feel a bit bad, but I wonder what he's up to in 2017.
I did something creepy as a kid, at least looking back. Around 7 or 8 years old, I think, at my aunt's house in Penn, old as hell, and looked haunted, because it was next to some big-ass trees. One night, I get my mum up because I want a snack, and we go downstairs. I have rice in hot tea, Asian, and while sitting at the table in the kitchen, I look up at the stairs. The stairs are in the kitchen. I see this black shadow of a tall man at the top of the second landing. The stairs were folded. You go up. There's some space to turn and then go up again. The only light is in the kitchen, and it's just barely making the stairs visible. I keep asking my mum, who's that man? And she tells me there's no one there, but I keep insisting. She starts to get freaked, and then she turns off the light in the kitchen, and the figure's gone. In retrospect, it didn't really traumatize me or anything, but it is kinda creepy. I bet I scared the crap out of my mum. I remember the next day she was talking to my aunt about how kids are supposedly in tune with spirits and ghosts. Christian family, my mum and my aunt took some things more literally than I. Anyway, my aunt moved her family out of the house later, but it was probably because of my cousin's schooling or something. My point is, looking back as an adult, it's creepy, and it must have been creepy for my mum when I did it.
Be me at 8 years old. Live in a neighborhood filled with kids. Entire neighborhood next to what was once a dump. Think 1910 to 20. Dump area is actually pretty neat because everything is a few feet below ground. Also, big heavy woods now. Go in there sometimes and find cool shit digging. One time decide to go in really deep. Start digging with 2 friends. We find a big busted up corroding metal crate. Keep digging around crate. Nightfall, go home. Next day continue. We finish up. Crate is about 9 feet underground. We still don't have entire thing out yet, but enough to see what's inside. We look inside. Bones. WTF moment. Friend goes home and grabs a flashlight. Starting to rain and get cloudy. Finally gets back. Now it's like 6 p.m. Starting to get dark. Look inside with flashlight. Half a human skull. Scream and run the fuck out of the woods. We tell absolutely no one. When I'm like 16, neighborhood is being built in old dump area. Tractors and bulldozers just plowing the shit out of everything. Go to friend's house and he tells me his dad said something to him that might explain why we found that. His great-grandfather is old Italian mob connected. Friend's dad told us that his grandfather told him not to go snooping around dumps because they are owned by the mafia and the mafia do shady business in them. Guy we found was probably some poor son of a bitch who got whacked way back when. We still didn't say anything to anyone.
I really should bring this up next time I see my cousin. He's about 8 years old. I'm sitting on the couch next to him. He's playing Sonic 06 in the middle of a level. Gets off the couch. Stands perfectly still in the middle of the room. I look up from my book. What's up? No reply. You okay? No reply. Go around him to see his face. He's staring at the TV and crying. Jesus Christ. Turns his head quickly towards me. Looks me right in the eyes. I'm too weirded out to do anything but stare back. He breaks eye contact and walks over to the couch. Sits down and resumes playing Sonic like nothing happened. 06 is pretty terrible, but I didn't think it was that bad.
Brother does some creepy shit. Here's 2 stories. Be 14 or 15, brother is 11 or 12-ish. Come home from middle school, Isle of Wight, UK. Living in a friend of the family's rather swish house. Get inside via top door. House has 2 entrances, one up, one down, as it's built up against a hill. Here brother downstairs in the kitchen. Bottom door is on this level. Start taking off my backpack and walking downstairs to see him and get some food from the kitchen. Hello? From the kitchen. Hey, Anon brother. Walks to the staircase with a big knife in hand. Oh, it's you. Back into kitchen he goes. Has no memory of that event till this day. Brother gives me the whim whams. Be about 5, brother, is 2 or 3. Old house in Germany that we lived in at that point. Big ass graveyard behind the house. Whatever, don't care. I find them relaxing, and it's got a large field between our house and the graveyard, so fine by me. Brother has an imaginary friend called Beggy. Insists that Beggy is dead and that his whole family is dead. Tells us they died of a cough. Freaky for my parents, but I'm 5, so no damns given. A cough was the worst thing imaginable for a 5-year-old back then. Get older, memory of my brother's stories about Beggy still there. He remembers nothing. My face when I go back to old house to have a look with some mates of mine about 12 years later, and there are a lot of people who died of the Spanish flu after World War I in that graveyard. Brother doesn't remember any of it.
7 years old. Never really talked to anyone much, not a vocal child. Be spending weekend at cousins because we live far away, and something about familial bonding. Cousin is same age as little brother, few years younger than me. Cousin keeps hogging all the toys, making little brother cry. It doesn't bother me. Decide to go to sleep. Mum tells me I started chewing everyone out on their flaws, calling my cousin a greedy pig, my brother a sissy, and even having a go at adults for flaws. I remember none of this. And another, 13 years old, still non-social, be at school. Someone picks on me, ignore them. They pick on my friends, keep ignoring. Dumbass throws a rock. I freak out and flinch sharply to avoid the rock. It hits my friend. I turn and stare at the dumbass with the hatred of 1,000 suns because I know I can't do anything to him. He was laughing at friend in pain, then freaks out and runs away. No teacher in sight. I calm down, confused. Friends ask me how I did that. Did what? That thing with your eyes. What thing? They don't explain and keep asking me to teach them how. Teacher finally shows up to figure out why a girl has a bleeding arm. A bully threw a rock, but Anon scared him away with his eyes. Teacher looks as confused as I feel. And one more. B16 brother at 12. Insomniac, browsing stuff like /x/ for shits and giggles. Brother comes out one night. Asks how come I can be out here. Tell him because I'm older. Explains that's not what he meant. Ask what he meant. Annoyed that he's talking to me. How can you stay out here with them? What? Who? The demons. What demons? He goes on to describe little blue or green fairy things, looking around the room like he's scared. Tell him to go back to bed. You would like them. He goes to bed. He denies coming out of his room that night when people are around, but when alone, he'll still occasionally reference it.
Be babysitting a little girl I usually babysat. She's about 6. Be playing N64 with her during this huge thunderstorm. All the lights go out, she freaks out. I tell her to calm down and that I was here, handing her a stuffed animal and a blanket in an attempt to make her feel safer. She tells me that nothing could make her feel better. Grab my crank radio, tune it into the news in hopes of hearing when the lights would be back on. Girl tugs on my sleeve. Don't. I ask why, putting the radio down as she stares me dead in the eyes, getting pretty worried. Just don't. She says, pointing to the wall. There's a shadow. Neither of us are making it. It's coming from the window. Freaking fuck out as I grab my baseball bat and get her behind me. Just before he reached our really unstable door. Like, seriously, if we ever locked ourselves out, we could just force that door open, even when it was bolted with a chain plus normal bolt lock. Realize the storm didn't knock out our power. We both could have lost our lives that night. Still gives me chills.
How'd you survive?
He ran off. Sorry, guess that didn't make sense. I meant that he ran off when he saw me grab the bat just before he reached our door, which, whether he knew it or not, could have been broken into quite easily. Really, we wouldn't have survived because I'm just a 5'4" tall chick who knows what would have happened.
5, maybe 6. In town with my mom. Always stayed really close to her because it wasn't that long after the James Bulger murder, and I was terrified of being kidnapped. Big shopping center in town that's laid out as a big square. The shops have a door on the front street, and then they have another door at the back of them that you can exit into the center, or enter them and exit onto the street. Loads of people use the shops as shortcuts. Cut through this pharmacy type one that was really small and narrow, with steps that led you to the door to the shopping center. Get distracted by something on display. Think my mum is standing next to me, but when I turn around, I see her exiting into the shopping center. Run after her. Door is really heavy, and I struggle to open it, badly panicking. Nice woman about my mum's age rushes over to calm me down, asks what's wrong, and I tell her. Well, let's see if we can find her. She went through these doors, takes my hand, let's find her. Has a little look around, starts taking me to the front doors towards the street. Put up a vague protest so someone will notice. Only one person does, and the woman says I'm always like this because I hate shopping. Despite my kidnapping fears, this is what seems to be happening in real time. Almost at the doors, when I hear my mum shout for me. She comes over and takes my hand. Mum asks the woman what she's doing, explains how I lost her, and she was taking me to find her. Mum gives her misplaced thanks. I get forced to thank her. We start leaving through the shopping center doors. Look back at the woman, now I'm safe. She's no longer smiling and is glaring. It could have just been in my head, but I swear her face morphs into like an old hag. Terrified me that much, I would actively avoid using that shopping center as a shortcut, even when I was an adult. People used to love trying to kidnap me for some reason. Someone tried again too when I was 17. 17. Walking to my friend's house one afternoon. Busy road at the end of my street, which is suspiciously quiet. Car parked up at the side with a guy perusing a map. Guy shouts over to me, presumably for directions. Go over, and start showing him on the map. Have to lean through the window because he has the whole map open. Feel someone grab my legs and try to force me through the window while the guy inside tries to pull me in. I'm not a 6-year-old now though. I'm like a 6'1", 210-pound almost man raging with testosterone who carried a weapon and definitely not the ideal target to kidnap. Fairly easily get myself free. Quite clearly ask them, "What the fuck you doing?" as I back away. Neither of them respond. One who came behind nonchalantly gets into the car and they drive off. Not even at speed, just a normal pace. In fairness, I think that one might have been mistaken identity because there was a lot of trouble in the area at the time.
2 weeks ago, kid brings 2 knives to school. He gets caught by a teacher. School does nothing. Yesterday, walk into physics class. Teacher sighs, tells us how the kid's brother hanged himself. Kid comes to school the day after, tells everyone he saw his brother do it and didn't stop it. Holy shit. Teachers decide to get him kicked out from school. He leaves today. He looks back. I'm gonna slaughter you. That's the story of how a fucking madman was going to my school.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.